Hi there, my name is Patmos and welcome to a new video. And in this video we'll be talking about the division stats of land units. So what are all these stats, what do they mean, and why are they important, and what do we need to keep an eye on when we design a division? That's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to start with the base stats. And we're going to start with that right away. Maximum speed. And basically that's how fast a division can move. And of course, it can only move as fast as the slowest moving unit. So if you have infantry divisions, they will go like 4k an hour because infantry can just walk that fast. If you, for instance, want to build a fast moving unit, so if you break through somewhere at the front and you can just spread out and do pincher movements, then don't use infantry units, use mobile infantry or motorized or mechanized. And it's also important, if you build armor divisions, then add motorized infantry and not normal infantry, because it will slow them way down and that's not what you want. Now, support divisions aren't included in this. The game just thinks that, well, if you have like artillery or whatever, it will just push up a truck and just go ahead with it. So those stats are not counting, so it's just these normal divisions that we'll be using to measure the maximum speed. Now let's go to hit points. Basically that's how much damage a unit can take before it is destroyed, how many hits it can take, and it's linked to your equipment and your manpower. So when you lose hit points, you will also lose equipment and manpower. And it affects everything. So a division operating at half its hit points will see most combat stats also halved, and will make a division very weak. So make sure that when you compose divisions to add enough units with high hit points, like infantry or motorized infantry or mechanized infantry, to strengthen units with low hit points. Tanks, for instance, have very low hit points, so add a few motorized just to give them the hit points so they can survive battles. Organization. That just tells you how well a unit is organized and ready to fight. And the higher the organization, the better it can fight. Movement lowers organization a bit, so keep that in mind with all your troops. If you plan on a fast war, keep in mind that every movement will lower organization by the hour, so you can't just drive all the way through Russia in one go. You have to regain organization at some point. Basically all battles that you fight in this game are battles of organization. The division that loses its organizations the quickest, that will lose the fight. Well, infantry units have the highest organization, so it's always good to mix a type of infantry unit, whether it's normal or motorized or mechanized, into your divisions, because that will raise the organization and will make your units fight better. Well, the recovery rate, this is how fast a unit will regain organization. All units will regain organization at a fixed rate, but if you have a number here, for instance right now 0.28, this is a bonus to that, so it will regain 0.28 organization an hour extra. So this is a very important number if you are going to be doing a lot of fighting. Make it as high as you can, because your units will regain organization quicker, so they will be stronger and they will be able to fight better and longer. Reconnaissance. Well, reconnaissance goes about how well you know the enemy plans, the enemy division ahead of you. The better reconnaissance you have, the better your general will be able to pick a tactic for that day, and that helps you defeat the enemy. If you add a recon support division to your army, then your general will get 1 extra recon point on his stats and will make him also stronger. So it basically helps you to pick the right tactic and learn what enemy is against you. Suppression. Suppression is the ability to suppress the local resistance. After you've captured a nation, there will be resistance, and the suppression number tells you how well you can deal with those resistance units. That's basically it. The weight of a division is how large or heavy a division is. The higher the number, the heavier a division is. For instance, an army division is heavier than a normal infantry division, and you will need more convoys if you want to ship them. You need more supplies to be brought to them. So this is a number to keep in mind. For instance, if you want to do a paradrop, you will be needing more planes if the division is heavier than when the division is less heavy. So keep that in mind, especially if you do naval invasions with a lot of tanks, you'll be needing a lot of convoys to ship all those tanks across. Next one up is supply use. That's basically how much supply a unit consumes on a daily basis. This is especially important if you do naval invasions or when you fight in low infrastructure areas, because then you get supply bottlenecks. When you cannot meet the supply needs of your division, you will suffer attrition. And when you suffer attrition, men and equipment will go away. Adding a logistics company can help you lower your supply use, which can be very beneficial. So always keep an eye on that. You need to be able to supply your units. That's really important in this game. Next up, reliability. That is about your equipment, how well it's made, and the higher your reliability, the less likely equipment is to break down when you train or when you fight. So the less equipment you will be needing. If you add, for instance, a maintenance company to your division, reliability will go up and your weapons will function better, and you will have less dysfunctional weapons that you just have to throw away and will lose. Trickleback, that's pretty standard. Normally when units die in battle, they just die and go away, but this adds in the factor of a casualty being wounded and a portion of your manpower that you would normally lose, you will save now, and that will go straight back to your manpower pool. So for instance, if we look at our manpower pool now, it's 1.34 million. You can run out of manpower if you don't, if you just lose men all the time, and it's the recovery rate right here is very slow, so you'll be gaining very few men every day. So if you add trickleback to your division, a portion of the losses will be saved and put straight into your manpower pool, so you can use them again to train divisions or resupply other divisions. Can be really important, especially if you are low on manpower. And the last base stat is experience loss. It's how much experience a unit will lose when you suffer casualties. So if you fight in a war with a unit, you get better experience. They will learn from the battles and they will fight better. You can get percentage bonuses, so it will go up to like 50 or 75%. But if you take casualties, your experience will go down. So if you are able to lower the experience loss with every casualty, your units will stay more experienced than they were. So those are the base stats. Now let's go to the combat stats. Now first of all, a lot of these stats aren't what people think they are. These, for instance, soft attack 72, that isn't just like a fighting number, like it has 72 strength and 228 defense as in a fixed number, and you can just say, oh well, I have more attack than defense, so I'll win. It's a bit more complex than that, and we'll go through that right now. Soft attack is how many attacks made each turn against the soft part of an enemy division. In combat, this stat gives the number of attacks that the unit can make against targets with low hardness, such as infantry, cavalry. Units with high hardness, for instance armored targets, they won't attack. So soft attack goes against the soft parts of the enemy divisions, and it's calculated based on all the stats from all the units you add. Hard attack is exactly the opposite. It is the number of attacks a unit can make in an hour against the hard divisions of the enemy. So the hard parts of the enemy division, for instance tanks, and all tank variants and tank destroyers, etc. So these are important numbers, but it's just the number of attacks you can do against the enemy, not a fixed strength number or something. So keep that in mind. Air attack is also the how much damage you can do an air unit. So if the enemy has planes flying and you have anti-air units, you can do damage to them or even destroy a few of their planes. And this will also help lower the enemy superiority effect. So if you fight an enemy which has a lot of planes and they get air superiority over you, then the divisions they have will get a bonus and your divisions will get a malus from that. and adding a few anti-air units can lower the enemy's superiority, which will strengthen your divisions and weaken his divisions a little bit. Let's talk about defense next. This stat represents the number of defenses the division can do when defending a province. So, in other words, how many attacks it can avoid. So if we are attacked by a unit with, for instance, 230 soft attack, we can avoid 228 of those attacks, and 1.8 attack will get through. That's basically what it says. And of course, when a division has no defense left, it will be hit, and when your hit points reach 0, the division will be destroyed. Or when your organization reaches 0 first, the division will try to retreat. That's basically what happens. So a higher defense will allow you to have a stronger unit that can hold out longer in the line and will take fewer casualties. So for instance, if you play with the Soviet Union and you anticipate the attack of Germany, then a high defense is very good because it will help you hold the line and not get the Germans running straight through your country. Alright, next one is breakthrough. And this works like defense, except it applies when you are attacking a province. So this stat represents how many of the enemy's attacks you can avoid. So when your unit is attacking an enemy division, it will also counter-attack you. And this number tells you how many of those counter-attacks you can avoid. So the higher this number is, the better you are able to attack. So it's not like the higher this number is, the more chance you have to get a breakthrough. That's not really how it works, but you can just avoid the enemy counterattacks. And of course, when a division has no defenses left, it will be hit. So as long as you have a high breakthrough number, you will avoid less counterattacks, so you will save your hit points, so the stronger your division will be. That's basically what it says. Armor. Having higher armor than the enemy means that your units are better protected and that you can move more freely on the battlefield. So this is not talking about tanks, but it's talking about the protection of your units. So if you have, for instance, better guns, it will give you better armor. If you have better clothing or whatever, it will give you better armor. It will protect your troops better. And if your armor value is higher than the enemy's piercing, then you will take less damage and you can move more freely around the battlefield, making your unit much stronger. You can do many more attacks. And piercing, of course, is the opposite of that. So if you have a higher piercing than the enemy, you will be able to penetrate all its armor, and you will slow that unit down, do more damage to that unit, and will be able to quickly destroy it. So for instance, if you have a tank division with mechanized infantry along with it, then you will have a high armored division. It has a lot of protection. If the enemy has no anti-tank weapons or whatever, and is a very low piercing number, then they will not really be able to hit you very hard or do much damage, so you can quickly overrun them and just destroy them. If they have like a lot of anti-tank units and high piercing, then they will be able to slow you down, and you won't be able to do very well on the attack, and you might even lose. So always think about what you want to do with your units. If you really want to defend against enemy armor, get your piercing up high. If you're doing a lot of attacking and you want to just roam around the battlefield not worrying about the enemy units attacking you, then get a high armor value. That's basically the most important things. Then we will talk about initiative. The higher your initiative, the higher your planning speed will be. So if you have a general and you draw a battle plan, it will take time to plan, and the higher your initiative, the faster the planning will go, and the faster you will be able to attack. So that can be really good if you, for instance, are Germany and you are attacking Russia, and you have to change your orders every now and then they will regain, or they will plan the new attack very quickly, and you can go ahead and move with all the bonuses. Entrenchment. That's a pretty easy one. When a division is not on the attack, they will build temporary defenses to defend themselves. The higher that number, the better the defenses they will make, and the better they are prepared, and the better they can defend against enemy attacks. And that's really a good one, because these bonuses can get really high. So if you can get a good entrenchment number, you might even double or triple your defensive stats. So this is a really important one if you're on the defense. For instance, with the Soviet Union against Germany. The equipment capture ratio. If you defeat enemy troops or you destroy them, then you will capture a bit of their equipment, and the higher this percentage is, the more equipment you will capture and you can use for yourself, which can be a good add-on for your own stockpiles. Now, combat width. That's a bit of an interesting one. We will be talking about that now. And combat width is the room that the division takes up in a battle. So in this case, combat width is 18. Now, normally if we go to war on a battlefield, the normal combat width of the battlefield will be 80. So if we have a combat width of 20, we can fit 4 divisions in there, and we can use 4 divisions onto the attack. If you have a combat width of your division of 30, you can only fit 2 divisions into that battle. And well, that makes you rather weak. So getting a good combat width is really important. Now there are a lot of things that'll affect combat width. For instance, the terrain can affect combat width. So in the mountains, combat width will not be 80, it will be a lower number. But what you will see a lot of people do is compose divisions that exist of like 20 or 40 or even 10 combat width, so you can fit as many divisions in the battle as you can. And because it's always quite a big number, you can divide by 4. It's always very good to compose divisions with a combat width dividable by 4, because that will mean you can squeeze in the most divisions into an attack, into the front line, and attack the enemy. Now you have to play around with that a bit, because different divisions will give different add-on to combat width. So an infantry division, for instance, will add like 3 room, 2 room, and artillery combat width will add 3. So it's a bit tricky, you just need to play with it a bit, but it can be really interesting to try and find the ideal number of 20 or 40 in your divisions. Alright, let's talk about manpower. Manpower is basically the number of men this division needs. So if you have enough men, like I do, then it will fill up. If you add an extra infantry division, it will need more men. So keep an eye on that. It will basically just tell you how many men you need to fill one complete division. Training time, the number of days it takes to train. Fuel capacity, how much fuel it can carry. So if you have an armored division, it will be very good if they can carry quite a bit of fuel, because if they are on the attack, you want them to carry quite a bit of fuel with them so they can keep on the attack for a while. And of course, fuel usage, that tells you how much fuel they use. And keep in mind that land units that have a fuel consumption will consume fuel on a daily basis, even when they're not doing anything. Because, well, trucks will have to run, you will have to get supplies to your unit, so it will use a bit of fuel. And of course, when your armored divisions are racing ahead in the Soviet Union, then you will be needing a lot of fuel. Well, this is the number of equipment you'll be needing to fill this division. These are basically all the stats you see here on the division designer. And all of these together make up your divisions. And you can just play around with it. I advise you to do that. For instance, use the console commands and then just give yourself a bit of experience. I can show you. You give yourself some experience and then you can play around with it, so you can see what happens if you add a mobile division. For instance, if we add a motorized division, you can see speed won't change because we have normal infantry division. Number of hit points goes up by 25. Just hover over it with your mouse, you can see the differences. Organization will go up, but the unit will also get heavier. We will be needing more supplies. As you can see, we'll be needing fuel now. Manpower will go up, but also the soft attack, the hard attack. Piercing goes down a little bit. combat width goes up by 2, so now we have a perfect number of 20. So that'll be interesting. Be a good division if we could keep it like this. So you can basically just see what a unit does. You can instantly remove it again and nothing happens. You will only pay for it when you hit the save button. So just don't hit the save button, but for instance add a recon division. Let's see what that does. We had no reconnaissances, now we have 1.5. So play around with that and get to know units. What will they do? How will they affect the division? And then compose your own division that you think will be strong for a certain task. Now, I hope this video helped you, and feel free to leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this, and if you like this video, please tell me what else you want to see in a video, and I'll make a video about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.